In this video, I'm going to show you a couple honest reactions from myself and some family members. This is the first time I've ever been in an EV or driven an EV, as well as my family members. It was impressive. We tested the latest Model 3 dual motor. We tested a 2020 Model 3 to try to compare the old one versus the new one, and I also tested out a Model Y. So let's jump into the test drives and you can kind of see our initial reactions. And then at the end, I will go over which one I would probably buy for my personal situation. And I'll give you my thoughts on, what I think most people should look for in a used Tesla versus the new. And yeah, let's get to it. This was a fun test drive. I'm not going to lie. We're thinking this is the one that here in a couple minutes is going to unlock. So I would buy the white one. That would be my preference. It's white.
What is it, like a
And then
white?
the Y, I'm going to test drive that because I wanted to compare. So I wouldn't get those wheels though. I would get the silver. But I do like the new style, the new back end, new front end. They changed the interior quite a bit. Motors are the same. But it looks nicer than the Y for sure. It's just space. So we're going to test drive them both. All right, first drive in the new Model 3. This is my first drive in any EV ever, even as a passenger. So this is creepy. I will say, quiet. Holy cow. Oh my goodness, the torque. See, we live at 5,000 feet elevation, so the torque is just crazy compared to the damage that elevation does to our vehicles. Oh man, you let off the gas and you got to get used to that. I'm going left. I figured out how to do the signal. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, holy smokes. I've had fast cars. I've had twin turbos, but nothing like that. I mean, this is just a 3. Can you imagine what the Plaid feels like? Holy buckets. I would have to get used to this. Wow, that's so crazy how it adapts to... Wow. Dude, this is so... I've gone around like 3 turns and I feel like I already know how to drive it. It's just like intuitive. Oh, it get me into trouble. You are gonna die when you feel the torque in this. It's great. I got to do some regen. I got to regen a little bit. All right, that was just a little bit.
Whoa! Better not show the speed on camera.
Oh yeah. No, we're totally. I didn't know this was a 45. We'll have to go the interstate. It is small though. That's my only downside. It's fun to drive, but it's small.
They do got the speed limited to 85 miles per hour though for demo drives. So.
Yeah. We don't have to worry about that. You hit 85 in like 5 seconds. Crazy. All right, new driver. We're gonna get the true experience here. First impressions of... You've never driven an EV, right?
Never. This is my first time actually inside of a Tesla, yeah. So
same with me. I mean, the first time should be the new Model 3, right? This is dual motor. It's not the performance.
I don't like visibility on it. It's
no.
Although I can sink down the seat pretty low. That's not bad at all now.
He is 6'7", folks, so a little different stature.
I fit in it decently.
I'm laughing like your legs. So that's not that bad for how tall you are. Like how many 6'7" people are going to go buy a Model 3? They're probably going to get the S, right? Oh man!
Oh my God, that is insane. It cruises really nice though. Like just being able to just
right. Yeah, it's very smooth. I mean, we're two ice idiots driving the future here. Yeah. What do you think about, like, I mean, your height, you're 6'7", so I mean, that's pretty crazy that you're actually able to drive it and not be complaining. In your head, you've got a good like 5 or 6 inches till you hit the glass.
Yeah, this isn't bad at all.
That's crazy.
That regenerative braking is really aggressive, though. Like, I'm
It-
sure it's
it
just
really
something
is.
you learn with time, where you can just take your foot off and then never touch the brakes.
Yeah.
Like, that's not touching the brakes at all.
Right.
Then I'm giving it maybe half throttle right here.
Oh.
In that case.
The camera goes back in my face.
I'll turn around right up here.
It just makes you giggle when you hit the
Mhm.
gas.
Yeah, that's stupid how quick that comes on.
Oh
It's
my
just
gosh.
instant.
They don't mess around. But it's also, it feels safe in this like weird way of having all the power you could possibly have to the wheels before they break loose, but then having it also be safe.
Yeah.
Like I've been in, high horsepower cars where you do that and you just break the ass end loose and you better know what you're doing, where this is just not going to do that.
Yeah. All right. Let's test out the turning radius real quick right here.
Oh yeah, there you go. It's not that tight of a turn.
That's
That's pretty tight.
well, like, do you see how much
Oh yeah.
play there is in the steering wheel?
Yeah. Compared to the old model.
It's just
It's just flat out, get with it. We're not going over the speed limit. Look at that. He kept it under 45. And it was beautiful. All right, let's go show the wife. Since the 6'7" person was driving last, you're gonna have to adjust the seat. Oh, you have plenty of headroom. Look at that. Oh wait, you're not tall.
You let him drive?
Yeah, I've added his thing to the account.
Oh, cool.
So everything's done on the screen. Your blinkers are here, left and right.
I should push the button.
You just push it and it
Okay.
turns the blinker on. Everything else there's nothing else to really worry about, like volume and stuff. We're not going to turn the stereo on.
Okay.
But this, to go into park, you hit this little button, or to get out of park, and you just slide this forward, and that means you're in drive. If you want to go backwards, you slide it down. So just drag that down. Yeah.
Steering wheel so little.
Huh?
Steering wheel
Isn't it
so
weird?
little. Mm-hmm.
What it feels like a spaceship.
It's weird. It doesn't make any noise.
Yeah, it's definitely
Ooh.
electric. So,
Okay, so that's weird.
go left. You can go. Oh wait.
How about I not go in front of that?
Well, you could totally make it in this car if you push the gas. Trust me. Well, see, you could have beat him. You could have beat that car. You totally could have beat him. Just hit the gas. Just hit it. Just hit him more.
Oh my goodness.
You weren't even touching it. What was that, like a eighth of the throttle?
Yeah, that wasn't much. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
My sunglasses though.
That's so funny. That's
They're
the,
so smooth.
yeah, well, brand new car plus.
Oh yeah. Where am I going? Am I taking it back?
No, we've got a little bit time left. So hit it hard. Hard. Oh my goodness.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
So where do you want me to go?
Oh, fun. I will say that I don't think there's any way I would let my kids drive a car this fast. It is absolutely insane. There's no way. We're driving this used Model 3 dual motor, and it actually feels great so far. 80,000 miles, 2020, and feels just like the 2024. Maybe the interior quality's not quite up to speed, but we're gonna jump in and let him drive it. So yeah, I mean, essentially the same, other than, you've got the different steering wheel controls. I actually like the old school shift and everything a little bit better than the new style. I like the new steering wheel and the new feel better, but overall this doesn't feel that much different. It doesn't really drive that much different than the new 2024. Considering getting one of these used instead. After driving it now and feeling, they feel almost identical in power, and which you'd expect. What do you think, Trevor? You're gonna get a smile on your face here in a minute. I mean, we drove the new one. The 2024 felt obviously good because it had 800 miles on it, but
This has 83,000 miles, and to me feels, yeah, if you go right left up there, this one felt, I was surprised how good it felt. All right, we're gonna hit it here.
All right, that's speed limit.
Speed limit. Hit speed limit. Well, what'd you think? Same as the 2024 with 80,000.
That was the first time I put it to the pedal, but it definitely gets up and goes.
Yeah, it feels the same, right? Like close. I don't think that 24 felt any different, and it shouldn't. I think they're the same exact motors. It would just be like struts. And what do the struts feel like, you know? And how's it handle like the lean back? But yeah, so overall, like comparing this used Tesla with 80,000 miles to a brand new one, I think I would buy a used one. I might actually start looking. They're about 20. This one's about 22. Yeah. This one's about 22,000, 80,000 miles, and I know I can find them cheaper. I already have online, and private sellers are selling them with like 30 or 40,000 miles in the 25 range. So this would be the car to get compared to a brand new one. This is crazy. I mean, this drives within probably 5% of what a new one drives. So I definitely recommend it if you're in the market.
The first thing I want to say is, holy cow, I was absolutely blown away. This car was awesome. The used car was awesome that we drove. The Y was great. I was more blown away, though, at the entire Tesla experience. I had never been through it. I've never really been into EVs. I'm not an EV guy. I've kind of ripped on them from time to time, but now I'm eating crow. This is the video where I eat crow. The first thing I wanted to say, Tesla offers the best experience, hands down. It's not even close. And you can kind of see where the car industry might go if they would do things like Tesla. You log into the Tesla website, create an account, and schedule your test drive. That's it. There was no salesman there. When I got there, the car looked just like it does there. We walked up to the car 5 minutes before my test drive was scheduled. The car cooled down from the sun to a 70 degrees inside the cabin. We got in and test drove the car. We didn't have to talk to a salesman. Unbelievable experience. Awesome. Everyone needs to do this. I've owned fast motorcycles, twin turbo cars, all sorts of vehicles over my life. And I have never, ever walked away from a test drive in a vehicle saying, that impressed me. It blew me away. It was like going from 30 or 40-year-old tech into this spaceship. And it's not that I haven't seen tablets. It's not that I'm not a technologically advanced person. I write software. But the experience of the car and how it drove, everything about it, the entire connected experience, it was unbelievable. And the thing that I like the most about it is the performance. There is just nothing that compares to electric motors and their torque delivery, especially at my elevation of 5,000 feet. I know I said it in the video, gets boring to hear it, but there's no car that performs like a Tesla at 5,000 to 10,000 feet where I drive, and it's just unbelievable. And the negatives for the Model 3 would be the space behind the back seat and the height of the floor. I felt like the height of the floor could have been a little bit better, but that's to be expected in a small sedan, so I'm not really surprised that that's how it felt. It actually felt great in the driver and passenger seat. There was plenty of room. Felt very similar to maybe like a BMW 3 Series if you've ever been in that style of car. Some of the technology on the newer model, they had a nice screen in the back on the new model where the old model just had vents. So that was kind of a neat addition to the back seat. Not really a deal breaker if you wanted to get a used one. The Model Y is taller, but I never felt like height was the problem in the Model 3, which is weird. It did have a little bit more room in the Model Y, but not as much as you would expect. It looks like the length is identical almost. They're on the same platform. It did feel like there was a little bit more floorboard height, so you sat in it a little bit easier. It was easier to get into, a little bit more ground clearance than the Model 3. So if you're looking for that, you're maybe a little bit older, you don't want to stoop down, into a really low car, the Model Y is probably a little bit better choice. And the last negative I would say is the technology in the Tesla not having something like CarPlay. I'm used to, even in my older cars, I've got CarPlay and I love it. It's just easy to integrate my music. One thing I noticed with the Model 3 is that I can't use YouTube music. I have YouTube Premium. It was just a little bit clunky and rough. I couldn't stream my Bluetooth audio for whatever reason. I can remedy that with a CarLink kit or something else, which is just fine. So that's not a deal breaker. I still love all of the other tech inside the Tesla screen. I love, being able to control the steering wheel and the regenerative braking, all the features. It's very easy and intuitive to access. So that wasn't really a deal breaker for me. I just know that some of these other manufacturers, I believe, are integrating CarPlay by default, which would be kind of a nice thing to, and just a nice bonus if they would add it. And of course, tires tend to wear out faster on these electric cars. I think part of that is the weight, the regenerative braking. If you would turn down the regenerative braking to the low setting, it actually felt a little bit more like a car that is coasting rather than a car that's really aggressively braking every time you take your foot off the accelerator. So I think that you could extend the life of tires by driving it more like a normal car and maybe getting a little bit less regen if you charge at home more often. So that might save tires and actually be more beneficial in the long run for you. Now, for me, the question is, which one would I buy? I honestly went into this thinking I was going to make a YouTube video about EVs, had no idea what direction this video was going to take. And now I just want to buy one. I want to buy a Model 3. I want to buy a sports car and I want to have fun with it. It was a freaking blast. It was awesome. So this is the new one. They're offering a lease for $329 a month. I believe that is with about $4,000 down. So that's a pretty hefty lease, pretty hefty payment. And my price goes up a little bit. I live in Colorado. I would have to get the all-wheel drive. That's just how I roll. I'm not going to run around here with a rear-wheel drive car in the winter. So that puts me up quite a bit more in price. And I kind of want the performance anyway. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm looking at a lease payment of $487 a month if I got a new one with $4,500 down. That's only a 10,000 mile lease. That's just a little too much for me in a tiny little car. If you're going to finance that, $767 a month, some people that's fine and they want to spend that kind of money in a car. That's just not me. I actually don't commute that much. For me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to get the newer one. Now, if we're just talking about styling of this car, I would absolutely hands down go with the new one. The front styling of the new headlight, the new taillight design, and the interior was a little bit of an upgrade compared to the old one. Some of the console pieces, they just feel a little bit better built. The dash feels a little bit better, but that's not saying that the old one was junk. I think the old one felt fantastic as well. It's just a little bit better, and it should be. It's the new model. So all of the upgrades they did, I thought were really tasteful. They just don't seem like, for me, they weren't worth a $30,000 jump in price or whatever it ends up being. And in my area, without even a lot of effort, I can find Teslas, these Model 3 long range. This one that we drove had 83,000 miles. It's $20,500. It did have a little bit of clear coat problem on one of the back fenders and the paint, but that's still a great price considering a new one's going to be over 50 for the same thing. It's a 2020. There are some other ones here with higher mileage. And then if you drop down in mileage, you're looking at like a 2019 and maybe 2018, 60,000 miles. That's still a pretty good price, $24,800. It's not terrible considering the original price of these vehicles and their dual motor. One thing I would look out for though, the battery warranty I believe is 8 years, 120,000 miles. So me personally, I think 2019 would be probably the last year. I wouldn't go back past 2019. I think that gives you around 40 months left on your battery warranty, and then you have up to 120,000 miles on the battery. So for me, just gives you a peace of mind with a used vehicle that you're spending $20-some thousand on. But yeah, if you look here, man, there is no shortage of Model 3s available. I think the price is actually going to continue to come down. 49,000 miles for a 2022. There's also one extra thing that most people don't know about, and the dealerships didn't even really know about. You can get a federal tax credit of another $4,000 or up to $4,000 off if you buy something that is $25,000 or less, a used EV. So if you could get a dealership to sell you one of these for $25,000 or less, they have to fill out some paperwork, and then you can get up to 30% of the value that you spend on that car. It might knock off another $3,000 to $4,000 off of this price, just makes it that much more affordable for you. And boy, I gotta be honest with you, I'm genuinely 100% blown away. I never thought I would say, oh man, EVs are great. We did drive a Hyundai Ioniq that same day, and I wasn't nearly as impressed with the tech on the interior. It felt good as far as the drive and the ride, and it had more space inside. But for me, if I'm going to buy this, it's more from like a sports car perspective. I just want something that's fast, that handles well, and that's quiet, fun to drive, but I could still, run and get the groceries in it. So, and Tesla also has some advantages when you think about their insurance. You can get insurance directly through Tesla. And from what I've heard, it is a little bit cheaper than going through someone like Amico or Progressive or one of these other companies. So that might be an advantage as well. They do detect your driving habits, so keep that in mind. And I know reliability has been a big concern for people on EVs, and it freaks people out because the batteries are getting a little bit older. Most people don't keep their cars past 2 or 3 years, and I can almost guarantee these things are going to last that long, and they have a powertrain warranty until 8 years, 120,000 miles. So really there's not a lot of risk in buying one of these used if you want to go test them out. I would consider it. I never would have considered an EV before yesterday when I test drove these. Just 100%. Every one of us that drove it couldn't believe how quiet they were, how nice it drove, all the features. Everybody knows this. I mean, people have been preaching this for years on YouTube and everywhere else, how great they are. But until you drive one, you really have no idea what you're missing. I'm completely wrong in my take on these cars. I thought it would just be kind of another ho-hum car. Like, yeah, they're fast, but it's not that impressive. The entire experience, the tech, the self-driving, everything about them, I could not believe how well it's done. And you see why they get to charge what they charge for them, I suppose. So, yeah, this is me converting from an ICE fanatic to someone that really wants to buy a Model 3 is just a fun car to drive. And I'm sure the Model S is just, that blow me away even more. We actually drove a Model S, I think it was an 85D, one of the older ones. And I felt like the Model 3 dual motor was about the same acceleration as that. So unless you're jumping up to the Plaid or you want the larger size, I think the Model 3 is great. We had a guy driving this, he's 6'7", and he fit in the Model 3 and was able to drive it just fine. So they do well. They're small, but they really do a good job with the space in them. Anyway, let me know what you think of the video. I'd love to hear your thoughts if anybody else is in the market for one of these used Teslas, and hopefully this helps someone out. Man, go test drive one. Go test drive a used one. Test drive a new one. Compare. I think you'll be blown away. Thanks for watching, and until next time.